Pretty Little Liars Original Sin sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have two actually kind of decent episodes of Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. Decent in my book.
You can always count on the Halloween episodes.
You can always count on the Halloween episode.
And also, unmiked, but our third chair, as you can see on the video, Herman.
He's got opinions.
Oh, he's got opinions.
He's been barking at us all night.
We'll see if that happens. See if we're able to do this.
We might be doing this in 2 nights.
But not to interrupt your flow. But yeah, I mean, we got things going.
I actually care about other people's mysteries, like their life mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, okay, what's going on with Mouse?
What is going on with Mouse? That one, it's unsettling to me, and it's supposed to be, yeah. But because I can't wrap my head around where it's going. So in the summary, I think in the summary that I pulled that you pulled from Fandom for me, and then I edited down, they mentioned it's amongst. I had mentioned that there's other women in the photos, but it was just one specific photo, and they said in the summary that it was her mom's. That they, like amongst photos of her mom. So it's like.
See, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay. So that would make sense.
So it was just him.
So is it like a missing father thing? But then that makes me hesitant. But are we putting the cart before the horse because we have no idea what the hell this is yet?
Correct. We are.
Well, that's what we do here.
That is true. That is what I ask you to do every week.
We are the cart of podcasts. We
have no horse.
That's right.
Our horse is seeping.
he's bent over there, just hanging over the edge. Yeah, we get we get a murder victim that I didn't suspect to be the murder victim at first.
No.
Because I was like, Greg is dead. But just because they're both just the worst people imaginable, that you're like, time to die.
I will say this show has a good kill count.
Yeah, totally.
Like, they're just taking people left and right. Which, for what it is, makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody is horrible. Like, there's so many people in these girls' lives that are horrible in good ways.
All right, well.
Yeah. Enough preamble. We got a summary to get to.
We do.
Multiple summaries to get to. Ooh, Brenton's not ready.
Should
All right, here we go. Chapter 4, the fee, male gaze. Which you had such a convincing, you're like, oh, FE is an iron. I was like, oh. Doesn't really come up, does it?
No, it doesn't. I was like, oh, does this have something to do with like iron? Like, it's FE, right? Is FE iron? I think it's iron. And then it was just like, no, they just wanted to say like female versus male gaze, I think.
Yep. So it goes. For all you writers out there that are doing something similar, work iron into your script next time. In 1999, Marjorie Oliver smokes a cigarette. It was like just a cigarette, but I thought it was weed. I digress.
It's just a cigarette.
That she could be a funny cigarette, could be a jazz cigarette. That she hands to Angela Waters.
It's just really funny. It's got a joke on it, like a popsicle stick.
It's got little eyes and stuff. It's in the Mickey cartoons.
You got to read the joke before you smoke it.
That's right. Then you get the answer at the end when you finish. It's in the filter. Angela's reluctant, but Marjorie persuades her. A janitor finds them smoking and confronts the girls, so Marjorie shoves the box into Angela's hands, pinning the blame on her. In the present day, Marjorie goes to work and finds a gift bag on her desk with an old battered teddy bear inside. The bear's shirt reads Mother of the Year with the A capitalized in red, and attached to its arm is a bottle of pills. She flashes back to sitting on a bench outside Millwood High, asking Angela to forgive her and giving her giving her the same teddy bear, which with a shirt that said "Best Friends Forever." The little liars sit down in detention when Imogen's phone rings. She goes outside to answer. It's a call from a certain Mr. Thompson, a man who's from the same graduating class as Davy. She asks about Angela, and he's just like, I have no idea who. He's like, I didn't know Angela at all, and then don't talk to me anymore, and hangs up. The little liars gather in the courtyard after their final detention. Mouse asks what they should do now. Tabby proposes that it's been 2 weeks without psychotic text, so maybe A moved on. Glass half full. Mouse asks if they should tell their parents what happened to Karen and them. Imogen doesn't think it's a good idea to tell anyone until they know more about what happened to Angela. Farron wishes all of them best luck but leaves.
My queen.
Tabby heads.
I shouldn't call her queen because isn't that what Karen and Kelly do?
But
I was like, yes.
You just be a queen, girl.
Yeah. Oh.
I wrote that down. I was like, that's good. That's good stuff. And then that's also the line that like connects back around of like, maybe it's Karen.
Yeah.
Great. They're like, ooh, I like this line. We need to put this forward. Tabby heads to the boys' locker room to retrieve her creeper camera. She hears two boys come in and hides in one of the bathroom stalls. The boys who enter are Tyler and Greg. They both have a really shitty conversation. They literally embody locker room talk here. But it's actually really funny because Tyler goes like, yeah, I came twice.
He's like, she came twice and I came twice.
Yeah,
and I didn't pull out in the middle.
Yeah, Boys are so dumb. It's great. I'm like, this is perfect. If you're going to write two shitheads, at least make it funny. Later at the Hawthorne house, like mean shitheads.
Yeah. You make it easy to laugh at them.
Yeah. Later at the Hawthorne house, Sydney tells Imogen that a lovely couple put an offer on her house. A wild thing to do, Sydney. Her mom is like barely dead. Imogen wonders what will happen to their house, and instead of a crew doing it, she's like, I would like to do it myself.
To clean it out.
Oh yeah, pack up the house.
Just remodel.
That's right.
Let the pregnant girl.
She's like, get Love to list it away from here. I would like to do it. In film class, they have to create a small film from the approved list, but place their own twist on it. In dance class, Kelly moves lockers to Karen's, which catches the attention of Farron. After class, Jiri talks to Farron in her office. She wants Farron to work one-on-one with Kelly to get caught up on what she's missed. Noah runs track and her coach agrees that she's out of practice. Noah looks over to Sean, who gives her a thumbs up from the bleachers. That's the stuff I usually like take out of the summaries, but I'm like, I love this moment. Sean's just like smiling and gives the big thumbs up.
Sean, that's the only couple I care about, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
No, that's not true. I care deeply for Chip.
I'm so worried about Chip, though.
I see him.
I do.
Are you worried he's gonna like incel pipeline?
Yeah, mostly because of a scene that happens later in this episode.
Okay.
Ash encourages Mouse to come to a Spectrum meeting, but if she doesn't want to, they can still hang out on Halloween. She says her mom's never let her go out on Halloween as it's too dangerous. He offers to come over to the house and hang with her moms. Another extremely sweet.
Yeah, I really think the couples are quite sweet in this show.
Which is another thing like, oh, Ash, you better not be shitty either. But she says she might be able to sneak out on Halloween. Imogen goes to her old house. She remembers entering the home for the first time with Davy. They happily run upstairs together. Now, Imogen hears a rustling in the basement and goes to investigate while Aid is hiding behind the steps. Very creepy. She looks around the basement and finds a bin of old dolls until she hears a commotion outside. This PLL, gotta have creepy old dolls. Imogen goes outside to find a happy couple taking pictures in front of her house. They just put an offer in and she's like, hey, did the real estate agent tell you what happened here? Later that night, Sydney confronts Imogen for telling the buyers that a woman was murdered there. Imogen hates the ideas of strangers living in her house. Sydney's like, well, congratulations, the buyers are pulling out. Sid says Davy was in a lot of debt and the sale from the house would have covered what she owed. Don Thompson also called her as Imogen's been asking about Angela. Imogen thinks there's a connection between Angela and her mom, which Sid isn't telling her about. Sid bluntly tells her that she needs to move on and the house needs to be sold, so she better pick out what she wants to save. Tabby and Chip present about their project where they are flipping the script on the psycho shower scene to make the male character a victim of a female murder. Later, she tells the friends at lunch about the film. She asks one of them to be in it. Farron is really the only one who can be, and she's like, well, who am I killing first? Tabby sees Greg showing off and decides he'd work. Later, Tabby stops Greg that day to ask him to be in it / flatter him, and then he reduces her concept to a shower scene with a hot girl, so he's in. Kelly and Farron practice ballet after school. Kelly doesn't know why Jiri asked her to help Farron as she's not as good a dancer as her. This is a point that will annoy the crap out of us to no end. We'll be back.
The dance plot lines are making me seethe, and now like just literally from like a logic standpoint. Because it's like they don't understand how casting works in dance.
I don't understand.
There's one explanation when we get to it. I'll explain. Okay. There's one explanation, but I Usually you just get told what part you're playing. You don't like audition. You can ask to audition for certain parts and like voice what you want, but you'll get placed in any role. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Farron says, according to Karen, the only reason she got cast as a Black Swan is because she's black, and then tells Kelly that Jerry only feels sorry for her because her sister died. And gave her parts and all that. Kelly admits they don't have to practice together and they can do separate things, and tells Karen it's like, you just go on being a queen, girl. Farron flashes back to Karen telling her the exact same thing in a previous practice. Wait a minute. Sheriff Beasley talks to Noah in his office regarding her ankle monitor coming off. She has to meet the requirements for probation for 1 year exactly for her record to be expunged. Back at the Olivar apartment, Sean brings up her taking the blame for her mom and is angry about this. Marjorie enters and invites Sean to join them for a movie, but he refuses. All right, he just politely declines.
He's polite.
Yeah, refuses a little tough. Imogen goes through boxes in her old house and finds her mom's Ouija board. She recalls her mom offering to play it one stormy night. Imogen goes to Tabby's room and asks to gather everyone together because she wants to contact her mom.
Very important question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever used a Ouija board?
No, I literally have never touched a Ouija board.
Me neither. I'm like actually afraid of them. My mom instilled this like deep fear of them in me. Like, I'll use tarot cards. I don't give a shit. But like,
you're contacting the dead? Hell no.
There's something about Ouija boards that like, and I think because like all the marketing and like everything around them, I'm like, I can't touch that. My cousins had one growing up and they're like, oh, do you want to play? And I was like, we're not allowed to touch that. We're going to die.
We're gonna try and contact someone, and it's not going to be the someone we want to know.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board was as sketchy as I got when I was little.
I never did that. So that sounds so fun, but like, boys didn't do that.
I was the littlest, so I was always the one. We made David do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a complete generalization. I take that back. The boys I hung out with, we did not do it.
The boys.
Yeah, the boys don't do that. Hyper reductive.
Were you in the men's locker room at this high school?
That's right. Oh right, I'm doing the summary.
You waiting for me to pick it back up.
So I was gonna turn to you. And back to you. Literally has never done the summary. Henry confronts Farron at her lockers for telling Kelly that Madame Giry felt sorry for her because her sister died. Henry worked with with Kelly while Farron was in detention, and she's gotten a lot better, just as good as Karen was. It's a lot like dancing with her again. But I thought Karen.
Okay, so let's just do this right now. In the first episode, we learn that Kelly is the White Swan, which, if you're gonna rank roles, is the number 2 role, and Farron is the Black Swan. And so the only rationale I have for how Karen could have been a better dancer but was not cast in a better role would be if they auditioned for parts only, and then Farron won for Black Swan, so Karen did not get it, but Karen did not also audition for White Swan. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So like Kelly, like if they each auditioned for one part and they did not
Right, so then Farron would have beat out Karen, even though Karen's like second in the class.
Exactly. But normally in a dance, at least in my experience, like you're cast based on like role skill, like especially in like a studio where they like know you. It's like, okay, like who can do this dance, who can do this choreography, who can play this part, because also parts of dance is acting. And so it was based on that. So I don't know. I've never done like a, pre-professional dance school. I don't know how this works, and I don't know how it works at this high school. But even like if you audition for a play, you audition for a part, but sometimes you get cast as something you didn't audition for. Like, right. That's just how, especially high school productions work and everything in general. So I'm like,
it seems like they would still maybe put her in as
make her the second one and make Kelly something else. Like, it doesn't make sense if Karen was the second best dancer.
No, because we literally have heard nothing about her being number 2 on the in the class before. You know?
Yeah, so it makes no sense, and it really annoys me because once again, it proves the dance plot lines are the least thought out in the show.
Yeah, because like my other, reading going back to episode 1 is that Kelly quietly succeeds where Karen doesn't.
Exactly.
So there's all that off.
Was Karen actually outperforming Kelly?
That's what we're supposed to get. And like the Kelly stuff, I would like a lot more if piece wasn't dangling over my head. You know what I mean? So it's the one annoyance. Pretty big one. Kelly stretches at the bar when Farron comes in. Farron apologizes for how she acted and is sorry about Karen. Kelly appreciates the sentiment. Farron says she read once that twins can feel each other's trauma. Starts with really weird questioning, and Kelly admits it feels like that. Farron notices that Kelly is wearing Karen's leotard. After school, the Little Liars gather at Imogen's house to make contact with the spirit of Davy. Imogen wants to know if Davy is okay or at peace in the planchette. Learned a new word looking at the summary today. Moves to say yes. Imogen demands everybody take their hands off. She asks what happened to her mother, and wondered if she died alone or if someone was there with her, or if it had to do with Angela. She then starts to break down and ask why Davy would leave her. If she really did kill herself, then she would have to have known that Imogen would find her in the tub and deal with all of this bullshit alone. Imogen yells at the planchette to move and screams out "fuck you" and that she hates her. The girls all tell her that they are here for her and that she's not alone, and hug. Sheriff Beasley goes to Noah's house and searches it and finds a Dixie cup of pills. Marjorie is like, "Oh, they aren't mine." And then Noah admits that they're magnesium to help her sleep, which is approved by the school nurse. He leaves, and Noah asks what's in the bag that Marjorie's been clutching the whole time and wondering if she's using it. Marjorie's like, "Oh, I just take a quarter oxy for my back pain. That's it." The next morning, Noah looks at her mom's purse and finds pills prescribed for someone else. Tabby meets with Farron, Chip, and Greg to go over the plan for breaking into the school at night to film the scene. Greg makes gross sexual innuendos, and Tabby yells at him a bunch. Imogen continues packing a room where she finds her old journal and recalls Davy giving it to her as a surprise. Davy said that journals are just for you, and if Imogen's like her, she'll have one for life. Imogen's like, "Eureka!" and goes searching for her mom's journals and finds 3 of them in a drawer. That night, outside Millwood High, the film crew gathers and breaks in. Noah orders a pizza and then gets a text from an unknown number that says, "She never learned her lesson. Mommy was going to throw you under the bus again, just like she did to Angela Waters." The film crew shoots Farron's scene. They prep for Greg and Tabby's... Sorry, I must have missed this part while editing. They prep for Greg and Tabby's scene. They prep for Greg's scene. God, I'm sorry. And Tabby explains that his character had dinner with Marion and she gave him wine but didn't have any herself. Maybe she even slipped something into his drink. He's vulnerable, a damsel in distress. Chip then says he needs 5 minutes before they go and steps outside. See, this is where I go, what's up there? Imogen goes through her mom's journals until she finds one that has missing pages. Greg goes totally seen naked.
Wait, what do you think is up there?
Because Chip reacts to the drug being in the drink and then leaves. So, like, was he potentially responsible for what happened to Tabby?
Oh, see, I was thinking like that was really bothering him. Like he was like, "Oh, I need a minute to like."
Which it totally could
like
be.
That's a horrible, horrible thing to happen to someone.
Right.
Because when he hands her the beer in the next episode, and she's like, "Oh, is it open?" and he said, "No, that's gross."
Yeah, he could have also helped her afterwards,
and like she doesn't remember. That's what I'm thinking.
Which I
want to believe he's better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I don't know. I don't know him.
Yeah, well, he's a very nice boy.
Yeah, and he dresses up like Donnie Darko.
All the costumes are A+.
Okay, sorry. Carry on.
No, I understand. It was just like...
No, I get it. Yeah, that's I'm curious.
Because I'm on the detection. I don't like having to think about these nice boys badly. Greg goes totally naked for a scene, making Tabby angry and yells at him for making this an unsafe set. Greg asks if Farron minds, and she's like, "Well, ballet can be a lot raunchier than this." Really? Are they naked in ballet?
Yeah.
What?
You watch Center Stage. They have a sex scene.
Oh, that's true. Right. I forgot. They have sex on stage.
I mean, not,
Uh-huh. Tabby looks to Chip for support, but he thinks they can shoot around it since they are pressed for time. Tabby needs a break and leaves the locker room. She goes outside to calm her breathing and looks out at the woods. She has a flashback of a bonfire and recalls boys coming up to her and her vision distorting. She goes back inside to find Chip packing up the set with Greg and Farron having left. He shot it but followed the storyboards exactly. She looks at him in disbelief but lies that it's okay. Noah's in her apartment when the pizza delivery guy pages her to come down because his car's still running, so can she come pick it up? She heads down to the side door where she finds a shattered window and a smashed pizza box on the ground. She heads back to her apartment and sees A standing in front of her apartment. She runs down the hall and escapes to the balcony entrance, but isn't fast enough as A grabs her, but she's able to escape after he grabs her and lifts her up. And she kicks him in the face and runs down the fire escape. She leaps over a railing and sprints to the edge of the roof and then jumps across the roof to another roof with A sitting on the other side. She takes a step forward, but then her ankle monitor goes off and then so steps back to the edge of the roof. She asks what he wants and he responds, "Punish the guilty." She asks and then she's like, "Who is guilty?" And he's like, "Your mother." She calls Millwood General Hospital and reports her mom for stealing drugs. A is gone when she looks up. Farron goes through Kelly's social media, zooming in on the twins' feet, and recalls Karen stepping on a razor blade. Farron sits with Henry. The next day, Farron sits with Henry and wonders if Karen isn't really dead. If the person who fell was actually Kelly. If she's right and Kelly is actually Karen, she'll have a scar from the razors. All he has to do is volunteer to give Kelly a foot rub during PT. If she's wrong and there's no scar, she promises to let it go. During lunch, Imogen tells the little liars that she found her mom's journals. The one from her mom's senior year slowly trickles down and stops before that. There are several pages missing. Noah walks over in disarray. She got her ankle monitor off that morning, but A is back. He came after her in her building, and according to the text he sent, it's because of something her mom did to Angela. The end.
All right. You ready?
I am.
Why was Marjorie fucking with Angela?
They are the meanest girls.
It's like a group of Allisons?
I think that's what it is, especially when we see the next one, or at least when they're all together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we don't really have a specific Allison yet.
Well, I assume it was Davy.
Yeah, well, it does kind of seem that way. They were all
trying to impress Davy. Davy's the one that drags them away from Angela. Davy's the one that they drive away in the next episode, but...
Right, yeah. So, yeah, you're probably right, it's Davy, but they're all horrible. I think that's what's interesting about these moms is just how horrible they all are. Like, I understand Marjorie's perspective a little. I have more sympathy for Marjorie because Oxycontin is an extremely addictive drug. There's like a whole reason that like Purdue Pharma got sued, and there's all those legal battles over like prescribing Oxy because it's an extremely addictive substance.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't excuse her actions, but I have more sympathy for that. Where Sid is just cold.
Mm-hmm.
Because Imogen pokes the bear a little bit, so she's like, just comes down on her with all sorts of force.
Yeah, it's very odd.
I think it makes sense that because none of these women have ever moved past this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've kept it hidden. So then these old tendencies of theirs, so they track like Marjorie's like blaming on other people, like avoidance, all the way back to Angela, being a kid and just never
having to take responsibility for her own actions.
Exactly. And Sid deflects.
Mm-hmm. How does A know about Noah taking Marjorie's blame?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because the only person we think Noah has told is her boyfriend.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah.
Sean.
I could see that A would be following Marjorie, maybe.
Okay.
And have seen that Marjorie stole from the hospital.
Okay.
I'd put my eggs in that basket.
Why do all the random adults pretend like they've never met Angela? Like that she talks to on the phone, that Imogen talks to? There's
this whole conspiracy of no one wanting to talk about Angela. It's really sad. Because Angela just seems like, at least as far as we know, just this bullied kid. And, from the wrong side of the tracks who had all sorts of like weird rumors and things attached to her. So then it's interesting. I don't know why there's so many people that don't want to talk about it. Maybe because they all didn't do anything. Because she was left.
Guilt because they left her there. Like all of them left. No one said anything.
Yeah, that's such a dark piece of information.
Well, so it's really common. Like that's why they teach bystander intervention, because for the most part, if one person doesn't do something, no one will.
Mm.
So it's like you have to be that person. Like you have to teach people to be that person, and you have to teach your children or like the people in your life to be that person. So like that's why like it's important that people intervene when they see things.
Yeah, and they do this again. Something similar that I didn't mention in the summary is that when Noah's running from A, she bangs on all the apartment doors.
No one opens a door.
Yeah.
Well, and it really like contrasts against the girls because in the next episode we'll see when Tabby goes after what's his name? Tyler. All the girls involve themselves. Like none of them, I mean, like they might not like, like jump to the front, but none of them are like trying to like, like make her not do that or like walk away or not intervene,
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to contrast them to the mothers. So it's like, where did they learn these behaviors? Like, are the mothers trying to make their daughters better people than they are while also still being shitty people?
Right.
It's just interesting. It's an interesting take
Mm-hmm.
on like parenting and trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great point to compare them, right? Because Imogen's whole thing is she thinks she's not as good as her mother and has failed in some way. And I think that's partially why she wants to dig into this, because it's this popping this bubble on. She seems to have all these like great memories of Davy, her mom. But then there's all the stuff that we learn as the audience and that she is slowly piecing together by searching into what happened to Angela.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, what did you do?
What did you know?
Yeah. And I think with Imogen too, it's just like since it was, we don't, she was best friends with Karen. So we assume that she was not the nicest person. So it's like, what could I have been?
But her mom did not like her being with Karen because Karen was mean.
Right.
So it's very obvious to me that Davy did not like who she was.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is evident and why it's easy for the other moms to believe like, oh, she committed suicide.
Right.
Okay. Why would Kelly switch to Karen's dance locker?
Okay, so this is part of my...
And was Kelly always mean girl coded? Because I have a thought about that, which is that if it's not a twin twist, like if they didn't switch spots, then is Kelly becoming Karen to like fill that gap?
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there, because I think what I think is clever about making the audience in on the same theory that Farron has, and we get more of this at the end of next episode.
Which is why I don't believe it's true anymore, because they're giving us too much to make us believe it.
Oh.
It's in the old Pretty Little Liars, the mere fact that we have now been told by multiple characters and given a lot of evidence that this Kelly is actually Karen would make me go, oh, it's definitely not then, because Pretty Little Liars never led you in the direction that, but they also weren't actually writing a full play, I mean.
So you think it is Karen?
I don't know.
So I could just be
Kelly.
following hook, line, and sinker in for this, right? But I think it is Kelly. And I think what the clever thing that they've done with the setup of us thinking that it is Karen, is show, because as the show paints it in these episodes, is that Kelly was always overshadowed by Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of get the idea that she then always wanted to be Karen. And so I think what's clever too in putting that in the mystery is that Kelly is only the idea of potentially being Karen. So it's the same thing that's mirroring the structure of the show is mirroring like what Kelly's character development is, of like, I am not just Karen, but like by following in Karen's footsteps to try and be the as she puts, the popular, talented one with the hot boyfriend. So I think that's where we're going, and like I said, I think that's clever in the makeup of the show, but I also think the big thing hanging over all of it is what we talked about with the dance stuff earlier.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't know which way it's going.
Yeah, so my thought is at this point is the latter of she's taking over as Karen in a way.
She's becoming Karen's personality, but she is Kelly.
Right. Because I know that seeing off of Karen take the spotlight, it's like I am going to copy her to like step into that role.
Okay. Imogen's house has the world's largest and scariest basement. Why is she down there alone? I do like they play with this horror trope. It's what like the going into the basement thing.
Oh, it's so scary. It's so creepy. Yeah, and the A is literally there
behind the stairs.
It's so creepy. Sorry, what was the question? I got lost.
Should she be going down there alone? What's happening?
Absolutely not. No.
Also, why is the pregnant girl like alone at this house all the time?
That is the other thing.
I'm like, she looks very pregnant. It's not like, oh, she's like early pregnant. It's like, no.
Because she's at least, I think, 7 months at this point.
Yeah, I mean, she's ready to, she doesn't look small.
Right, because it was 6 months to the party, and then this takes place like 2 to 3 weeks after the start of the show, because they mentioned they're all finished up with detention, and then they also say that there's another thing about 2 weeks.
Yeah. They passed.
It's been 2 weeks since they heard from A.
Why would Imogen's mom have a bunch of debt that Imogen doesn't know about? What is this debt? Does she actually have this debt?
Oh, that's interesting. What
Or
are you
is like
spending your money on, Davey?
Or is it like because who's responsible for her estate? Like Imogen is staying with Tabby, but like is her custody with Tabby's mom?
Yeah.
Is Sid her guardian, or is like what's happening? Because how we still don't understand their backstory. So like, did she know this woman enough to be like, oh yeah, if something happens to my mom, I'm gonna live with her?
Yeah, we just don't know how her and the families are connected, because they didn't know that their moms knew each other in high school. But I guess that doesn't mean that they couldn't be friends as adults. I don't know, but we don't know that. We've never seen a flashback of Imogen and Tabby hanging out.
Correct. So Tabby makes a comment like, let's flip the psycho scene, the horror plot. Like, she's like, we'll make it a woman attacking a man, penetrating a man and with a knife and all that.
I think she says that verbatim.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny.
Because they're all freaked out.
Yeah. But the show does not do that.
No.
What, like, are they trying to say something with that?
Yeah, it
gets muddled.
Because I was assuming that like that meant Greg was gonna die, and that maybe A that we could be pointing at is like whoever A is in the mask is like a woman. But then he doesn't die, and it's Tyler in the next one, so maybe.
But even then, Tyler's killed by presumably a man based on the costume and what we assume is happening.
Exactly. Are they trying to play with our assumptions that way? Are they trying to tell us something about what A is going to be? Maybe. And in this case, it's in the next episode, it is A's not going after the girls, but then they are terrorizing their mothers, but just in ways to make them feel horrible, so not necessarily killing them. Yeah, we shall see. But did you have in there
the transphobic line? Yeah, so then she makes a comment about how like, and none of that transphobic shit. And so I was like, is this a direct call out to the CC plot line? Because I see you. I see you, writers.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, so if you've watched it, you'll give us your take, because it's not quite on the nose enough for me to be like.
It seems like a little shade.
It's very shady. I mean, you can interpret it as shady, and so I like that.
Yeah,
the shade that's necessary, not shade negative.
Yeah,
shade essential.
I like that so much better than positive.
Did none of these girls have friends before they met? They're having lunch together. They're hanging out together. Like, I love that. I love seeing girlies be girlies. And like, it's totally fine if they didn't, but I wish I had a framework. We know that Imogen was friends with Karen, but Karen has other friends.
Yeah.
So did none of those people stay friends with her? Was she hanging out with Tabby after her friendship with Karen fell apart, but before her mom died?
Yeah. That's the hard thing about this being a compressed...
Because it's 6 months.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, who was Noah's friend group before this? Who was Farron always a loner? What, I guess you could always say that Tabby and Chip have always been hanging out. Like, that's an easy one to make the comparison to. But everybody else, you're like, what was your background before this? And now they're all just like friends. So like, even when Tabby says, I think later in the next episode, like, stay away from my friends, it's like just that group. Mm-hmm. But then, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things that when you compress these shows down, like these smaller streaming shows, you can't have these extra episodes where you're introducing all these random characters like a Lucas, to come in and like flesh out potential other like friend groups.
Like, you wouldn't have a Melissa and a Jenna on this show. You'd pick one.
Yeah.
Or like you'd change one of their purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they already, by killing Karen, they took out one of their versions of that essentially. But yeah, we just don't see like, what was it like before? Who were you?
I had written down, Imogen said, it's almost Halloween. Let's get out the Ouija board. I have my whole Karen and Kelly thing here, but are we supposed to guess in theory? If so, I guess my other issue with that too, and I'd written this down, is with the whole which twin is actually a better dancer, and like, was it always Karen and whatever? Were we supposed to just know that from the beginning? Because we didn't get it until this episode, and this is episode 4 of 8, right? Or 4 of 10.
10, yeah.
I'm just confused.
I don't get that either.
Was she mad because her sister got a better part than her and she was an objectively better dancer? Or was she just mad that she didn't get Farron's part?
Yeah, it just seemed to me like she was upset that she didn't get one of the lead roles.
Or a better role. Like, she was given like the mom.
Right. And the other thing that's also annoying too, in the next episode again, Kelly just gets the lead role.
Yeah, I also think what's really odd about this show is if you're going to have a dance plot line, you should show people dancing. Yeah. And not like a lot. Like, I don't think we need like the Maddie Ziegler dance number in the basement Spencer's Nightmare thing. But, do we need an Emily and Hannah bang bang dance routine again? Maybe. No, but I feel like you should have some sort of, like, we see very few dance scenes. There's been a couple where they've done lifts with Farron, I think. And they're always wearing ballet slippers. They're not wearing their point shoes, which I just think is interesting. I'm just like, well, I mean, like, you could rehearse in your ballet slippers if you just want to, if you're just practicing lifts or something. But it's funny because I'm like, where's the dancing?
Right.
And I know this isn't a dance show. I know this is not the movie center stage. But we see Noah run, and I mean, granted, running is a lot easier to communicate than dancing, but like, you get a good idea of like, oh, this was a thing she was good at, and now she's not good at it right now. We never see Karen versus Kelly dancing to be like, oh, one is objectively better than the other. If they had done one scene, maybe if we'd seen like a flashback to the auditions and like had Karen like fallen out of a turn, and so like that's why she didn't get the part, because she didn't dance right in that one moment, you know what I mean? Like, then at least we'd have some sort of understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, show us.
Yeah, and show us in a way. I know that's harder to communicate to people that don't know a lot about dance, but like, it's really easy to show when it's like, oh, she's doing a turn and she falls out of it, or she leaps and she bends her leg, you know what I mean? Like something, and she makes a comment about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I messed up, I did this, or like the floor's slippery, Farron must have put water on it. You know what I mean? Like, you could have played with that.
Right. Kelly goes up, does something. Karen goes up, does something, and everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's weird. I have some questions. Anyway.
Yep.
Why did anyone search Noah's house the first time and catch the drugs the mother had?
Did
how did they not also piece 2 and 2 together that drugs are going missing from the hospital? This person works at the hospital. This daughter.
Right. So that's yeah. So maybe it is that Noah got caught with stealing from the hospital.
But why would Noah be doing? Noah took the blame for her mom.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like that.
The
that
framework.
Is the story, right?
Got it.
And so maybe that's why A knows. Maybe A was the one that originally called it on them.
Oh, okay.
That's the best way I can think about it. But it is also something that I'm like, okay, why? Mystery storytelling, I guess. So we'll find out later. But
where does A live, and why is it Imogen's basement?
It's good. A creepy murder box at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, it's a creepy place to be. So like, why not? It seems like also they like hang out at the abandoned. A has a lot of places. Yeah,
A's got like a lot of layers here.
Yeah.
It's got like a portable lair, the little trunk that we get in the next episode. It's a travel lair. It's got a van. It's got the school workshop, and it likes to go where Angela's memorial is.
Yeah. This A they called Mr. Worldwide. Excuse me, did that figure in the mask just say Dale?
I did write down, why is Chip being sketched with his take 5 and okay with Greg being naked?
Yeah.
I think the okay with Greg being naked is very interesting. Because like I think Chip could have been like, hey man, that's not cool.
In my notes I put Chip is like, okay, I really like you, Tabby, but also like I kind of want to get out of here.
I think that is part of it. Like I honestly, it's like, okay, like yeah, I care about this, but like I'm tired. It's already late, and I don't want to get caught.
Tabby is no Clint Eastwood. We shoot it once and then we're out. Apparently, like that's how he runs his sets. It's just like he doesn't like reshoot things. He's just like, we get it and then we move on. We like have. Apparently, he's really like great to work with that way because you're doing like reasonable hour days.
I love that. Okay. Punish the guilty. That's what A says about Marjorie. Do you think A is giving out like punishment equal to the crime? Like, is there a tit for tat level? Like, it's like, well, if you're a big bad bully, if you're an assaulter and attacker, because I assume that's why he kills Tyler. I don't know. Maybe he's just annoyed.
Yeah, and well, I don't know if that really makes sense for Karen.
Or the cop. Not the school janitor, I mean.
Yeah, janitor just happened to stumble on the wrong place at the wrong time.
Never mind, I take it back. I was defending, but I shouldn't be.
You're like,
I'm like, what a good guy.
Maybe onto something, eye for eye.
He's like a Robin Hood, but he kills men who assault people.
Right. It was good when Farron perks up at like, get to kill someone.
Speaking of perking up, Imogen to me is such a good main character for this season because she does such good, like you talked about this last time, such good posturing and such good like her manner of speaking. It's just very, you're like, okay, thank you. Like this is exactly what I need as a main character. Like she just does so well. I love it.
Absolutely. It's just like this self-confidence, but we'll say it very clearly and directly. And then I think,
but it's a self-confidence with a lot of moral complication. Like she's confident, but she also like understands that she's in complex situations. And she even takes them even further, making them more emotionally complex for herself.
Right. It's
she's like a more complicated Hannah and Arya.
Yeah.
Maybe like Hannah like vibe with Arya's kind of like thought process and mentality. Not that, I just like I keep thinking about like how to map them back.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is she's come out of the other end of all this trauma, but she's not doing what any of our previous characters did, which was hide. Like hide things, which is interesting in comparison to literally everybody else in any other Pretty Little Liars show and every other character on this show. Well, that's not entirely true, but most of the main cast that we're revolving around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Noah's the one exception, but that's like Noah kind of gets pushed to it, and same with
Yeah.
Farron. But so I digress. But at least so like say
That was a nice idea.
yeah, like whatever's going on with Mouse, and then whatever is and then Tabby's kind of like keeping things close to the chest. So it's a I think it's very fun and refreshing, and she's absolutely killing it. Bailey Madison, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And I think the scene also, because when the Ouija board was coming out, I'm like, oh, we're getting some Riverdale weirdness shit. But that
it's about her emotionally processing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. That was like, oh yeah, this is great and like devastating.
Mm-hmm. That it was a self-reflection tool more than a magic.
Yeah.
I liked that. Yeah, I think this was like this is the best episode so far of the show.
I'd agree.
I think this and the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think complexity-wise, it's hard to pick, but I think these two are the two best, and this one might have been the best.
Yeah, I would think this one, and then the next one is like.
But I
fun.
like it because it's Halloween.
Exactly, you get all the costumes, you get and then everybody's like pairing off too. It's fun.
Yeah, we get some kisses.
Mm-hmm.
All right, are you ready for the next one?
Let's do it. Good to keep going.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's launch into it. Chapter 5, The Night He Came Home. Halloween 1999. The older liars make Angela Waters throw a bag of dog poop at someone's door while wearing a pumpkin mask, and they drive away, leaving her stranded. They don't even light the bag on fire.
No,
They literally threw a bag of poop at the door.
Same thought.
It's wild.
I was like, I thought you were supposed to light it on fire. I never did that. I toilet papered.
I didn't either,
I TP'd.
Toilet paper, TP.
TP is the same thing.
That's right. No, it was different. Ding dong ditched.
I don't think I ever ding dong ditched.
Oh my god. So I think I did once or a couple times, but like some kids in my neighborhood did. And one kid, one of my friends, he ding dong ditched a house. The guy chased after him down the street.
That's so bad.
Yeah.
I got accused of like, I don't know, silly strings, fucking with someone's car, and someone was like, you did that to blah blah blah's mom, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I literally was at work and then I was in bed. Like I just remember getting that message on MySpace. I was being threatened, and these people had toilet papered and silly stringed and condomed my front yard because I was no longer dating one of their guy friends and I didn't sleep with him. And so they had put bacon on my parents' cars, because I was a vegetarian, which like in hindsight is actually really fucking funny. That's really expensive. Like,
oh God,
I was like, they hate me.
That's wild.
Like, they hate me.
Mm-hmm.
And they bragged about it on Facebook, and I wasn't home. I was sleeping at a friend's house, and like my window was at the front of the house. So like no one heard it. My parents' room was towards the back of the house. Like no one heard it. So they were like, yeah, we didn't get caught. Yeah. And I'm like, you put it on fucking Facebook, you moron. Like literally. And then,
what do you think?
And then so I found out, and then I think they thought I was going to exact revenge on them. But what I did was I toilet papered his car because I said, you should control your friends.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I said, oh, you thought this was cute? And me and my friends toilet papered his car because I was like, I'm not doing this girl on girl hate crime shit. I was always very, but then one of the girls messaged me on MySpace and was like, you did this to some girl, the girl she was staying with, mom's car. And I'm like, I don't even know where she lives. I don't know where you live. I don't like that you know where I live. And leave me alone. And years later at a party, she threatened me.
That's wild.
It's so weird.
Kids are wild, man.
People are weird.
Kids do wild shit.
So yeah, I mean, like sometimes on the show I'm like, why'd they do that? And then I'm like, wait a minute. When I was 16,
hold on,
someone baconed and condomed my front yard. Silly string too. The silly string was fine. I just remember
the bacon thing is
bacon was funny, but it was like, I remember they put it on the truck and Jim's like, oh no, the paint, because our white truck is an old Dodge Dakota, had peeling paint. Like it was like, you weren't gonna hurt this truck. It had been around since the 80s. It had been quote unquote totaled. Like it was fine.
You think you're gonna hurt this?
Yeah.
Nice try.
I just remember being like, are you good? Like,
No,
they were not good. Like, imagine like baconing someone's car.
I know.
I was like, oh, you left breakfast? Like,
Well, like, my friend at our wedding said, he's like, do you remember we put a VCR in your bush? There, when we would toilet paper people's houses. People do it.
kids do dumb shit.
People do dumb shit. Now that one's still funny too. It's just like,
I mean, I think this one's funny, but like,
yeah.
it was just the threats afterwards, and I was like, you think I reciprocated? I went after him.
Right, yeah.
And he knows it's me. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if you ever found out. We almost got caught though, because I was with my friend Samantha and her older sister, and her older sister was like, because she went to school with this kid. She went to the same school. We went to two different high schools. And she's like, do you think it'd be weird if I ask him where he got his Christmas tree frosted at school? Because it looks weird. Their tree was out at the curb. It was just after Christmas. She's like, it looks really good.
It's so funny.
Like, they lived in that neighborhood. So I was like, as long as you say you drove by, like, I don't.
You have a good alibi.
Yeah. I remember being like, not right now.
No, don't go knock on the door. Oh, man. I hope
kids are still doing like silly shit like that.
Yeah.
Especially that one. We just toilet papered his car. I didn't touch anything of his parents. I didn't even touch their yard. I was like, your car, your friends, your problem.
Mm-hmm. Like, I understand it's a pain in the butt to clean up for like toilet papering and stuff, but
And if you get caught, clean it up.
Yeah.
And if you know the person and you like them and you're just fucking around and you think it's funny, clean it up. One time my brother's friends cutleried our front yard. Do you remember kids used to I think it was fork front yards where they just stick forks in the front yard? They bought a box of plastic cutlery. So we were fork knifed and spooned. And because I had already had our house TP'd once in the last 6 to 12 months, my mom assumed this was my fault and made me come home and tried to make me clean it up. And I was at my friend Mallory's house, and her older brother was one of the people who had done it because they were doing it to mess with my brother. And so I was telling them that I had to go home and clean this up. And the guy's name was Jared. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And so I think they came and I made them come and clean it up.
Right. Because you're like, what the hell?
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you people? And they were already out of high school. I was like, they were 19, 20. I mean, barely, you know what I mean? But I was like, why?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, from your end, it's like, grow up.
I'm like, be an adult.
Stay away from my house.
Leave me alone.
At least in the nice time.
I keep getting in trouble.
Long story short, that throwing a bag of poop at a door is just wild.
It's such a strange choice.
Yeah. And it's just, I think that tells you everything you need to know. That they made another girl throw a bag of poop at a door. These undead Spice Girls were quite mean.
Yeah. And they didn't even include her in the group costume.
I know. It's really sad. Not to defend them, but who would she have been? There was already 5.
Brenton. Oh my God, I married Allison De Laurentiis.
But pre-season 5.
Season 1. Flashbacks.
Oh, God. All right, October 29th. Imogen is elated that her suspicions about the connection between their mothers and Angela were true and asks Noah what her mother did to Marjorie. What her mother did to Angela. Noah doesn't know. Mouse wants to tell someone about this, and Tabby's like, it's probably not a good idea to disobey A. The two girls, Imogen and Tabby, believe the missing pages to be about Angela and make a plan to meet up. Chip chases down Tabby in the hallway, asking what he did wrong. She gets pissed that he shot the scene and invalidated them, flipping the script on gender conventions, and because this one would have also been shot with a woman behind the camera, and Chip apologized for it. The girls look around Imogen's house, with Tabby going to check Imogen's basement. She finds an odd suitcase lying down at the bottom, but before she can investigate further, Farron calls out that she found something, the burnt remains of the diary pages in the fireplace. Imogen becomes emotional, believing everything in her life is slipping away from her, admits she doesn't want to sell the house. Mouse says she could take over the mortgage payments, and Imogen's like, I only have $400 in savings. Later that night...
How old are they? 15?
15. That's what Mouse says later. That Mouse is 15 at least. Later that night, Farron meets with Henry, who says it also would make sense while they're walking around places and stuff too. Not that they also might not be able to afford a car.
One of them, I think, drives because someone said, I'll give you a ride. In the episode where they go to the movie theater.
Right. Okay.
But maybe their ride was picking them up. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Fair enough. Farron meets with Henry, who says he offered Kelly a foot rub and admits that Farron isn't crazy. She does have a scar. Mouse video calls anonymously with an older man named Steve. He asks if she's given any more thought to meeting in person. Mouse says she found a place for them to meet for dinner without anyone seeing, but then requests to go trick-or-treating afterwards, as she's never gone. Steve says Rachel loved trick-or-treating, as Mouse picks up a missing persons flyer detailing one, Rachel Bowers. Imogen picks up a handmade quilt that Davy made for the baby, reminding her when Davy first presented it to her, along with the idea of a baby shower. At school, Farron goes to Madame Giry about Kelly, who denies this, and it's like, this is completely crazy. You need to leave her alone, stop snooping, and also, Kelly has self-harmed before, so baby, you shouldn't be doing this. Excuse me, Madame Giry, you should not be telling that to other students.
Yeah. Also, why does Madame Giry know?
Oh, that's true. Imogen presents the girls flyers advertising a party at her house to charge money for it. It's like her party baby shower. Mouse shows Ash the flyer later, and he's like, whoa, wow, that's cool, but I thought your moms wouldn't let you out. And she's like, well, maybe I need to ask them for more independence. And then Ash offers to pick her up, but she's like, no, I'll just meet you there. At the theater, Tabby goes to pick up her last paycheck, and then Wes is like, huh. Well, you definitely ghosted me the other night. And Tabby's like, well, you used a flash drive to lure me to your house. And he's like, oh, shit. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I was so wrong of me. But, like, you can still have your old job around
You're like
here if you
a
want.
36-year-old man.
But then he immediately starts gaslighting her, bringing her back in. Oh, God, I can't believe I did that. But, like, still have your old job? Why don't you come work with me again? She mulls it over and accepts. And he's like, oh, great. Like, would you be able to cover a shift tomorrow? And she agrees. Mouse tells her mom she has a date. Elodie gives her permission, but sets her curfew at 9:30, but Shirley, her other mom, raises it to 10:30. It's Halloween. Tabby works the concession stand. Tyler tries to swipe a free popcorn bucket, but Tabby's like, it's only for people in costume. You're just wearing a stupid Letterman jacket. She doesn't say that. That second part. He recognizes her as having released Karen's video, and she's like, well, after you made it. He makes gross jokes about her, and him and his friends laugh. Farron meets Kelly at Pinball Pizza. Farron compliments Kelly on becoming a better dancer, and she's like, I've always been a good dancer, but I just couldn't shine with Karen always being the star. Farron notices the scar on her hand and asked if she did it to herself. It was cut. This is the scar from when she gripped the glass and cut herself. The other episode. Farron says if she ever needs anything, she can talk to her and invites her to the party, which Kelly accepts. The party begins. Imogen greets everybody as Noah and Sean come, complimenting their costumes. They are Morticia and Gomez. Great costume. Also, Imogen is Rosemary from Rosemary's Baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sean then drops money in the bucket and Imogen's like, no, you can't do that. And he's like, please, like, let me help out. Love this guy. Heart of gold. Let's hope, that doesn't bite us in the ass.
I think if they're giving us Morticia and Gomez, like,
right,
they're telling us something, right?
Yeah. Tyler makes a pass at Farron, and Farron leaves in disgust. So all the boys are dressed as all the football team is dressed as the Smurfs, and then Tabby is dressed as Ripley from Alien.
I thought she was in a Ghostbusters costume, according to the fandom.
Really? It has a patch that says Nostromo on it, and I had to double check. And okay. Nostromo is the
fandom could be wrong, and I also could have read the wrong line item.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm like remembering this from when I copied and pasted the summary for you. This is not something I was like, oh no, that's from that. You know what I mean?
Farron leaves, and then Tabby stops Tyler, asking who invited him. Tyler says Greg. Tabby questions him about Karen's last house party, and specifically also about a party with a bonfire in the woods. Tyler's like, I don't know any bonfire in the woods party. She calls him and his friends garbage people.
Well, he says, I don't remember. I go to so many parties, I don't remember.
And then she calls him and his friends garbage people and warns them to stay away from her and her friends. At a motel, Steve meets Mouse for dinner, and then he calls her Rachel. A enters Imogen's house through the storm cellar doors. They open the suitcase lying on the floor, revealing the contents to be Davy's childhood memorabilia, pictures of her friends and Angela, and a couple of masks, including the pumpkin head mask that Angela wore. They put it on. Steve and Mouse trick or treat, and he says she can call him Dad. Mouse is dressed as Wendy the Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Which later she says, cartoon and from the iconic Hilary Duff movie, when earlier you were like, oh, it's Wendy the Witch from the Hilary Duff movie.
Well, I mean, I had to look it up. I was like, it's from the Hilary Duff Casper, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm. The only Casper I know is where Casper dances as a human boy for one night, and they spin up into the ceiling.
Mm. Yeah, I think the fandom is wrong because it just has her costume as Ghostbuster.
Oh, fandom, I'm taking you to task. Yeah, it's Ripley.
We can submit a edit.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, the patches. Imogen stores a new bucket load of cash in her drawer. She steps into the hallway and notices A, but in the pumpkin mask, so doesn't recognize them as A, standing in front of the bathroom door. She's like, hey, that's off limits, go away. Figure then approaches until they're in front of her before turning left, like kind of spooking her. Then sitting on the stairs, Farron tells Henry she's going to let like this whole Karen Kelly thing go. The two kiss as A watches. Mouse wants to go to the party now, and Steve requests to drive her there. She agrees, but only if she is dropped off a block away. Steve suddenly begins to sob, begging Rachel to forgive him. At the party, Imogen receives a call from someone who knew Angela.
Do you think he killed his daughter?
Maybe.
That just clicked for me right now. That's like something I haven't looked up. You know what I mean? Like there's things I know about the plot and there's things I don't know about the plot, and that's not one of them.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? So, okay, when we get to the piece in the summary, actually, I'll come back around on this. At the party, Imogen receives a call from someone who knew Angela, but she can't hear them due to the noise of the party. Elsewhere, Farron catches Kelly and Greg making out. Mouse arrives, angrily texting. So in the summary, it says her frantic mother, but in her phone, it's labeled as monster, and then she blocks the number.
Yeah, I think she's calling her mom a monster.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it was potential. My first reading on it was like, oh, is that Steve?
Was it monster or was it momster?
Oh, it could have been momster.
I don't know. Like, I don't remember, but...
I was wondering if, like, Steve had freaked her out and she changed the name or something.
Maybe.
But maybe not. No, I would probably go with the fandom then on this one. 1 point to you, fandom. And ends up blocking her bomb. Ash finds her, and they each exchange compliments on their outfits. Ash is dressed as Freddie Mercury, looking very good. Mm-hmm. They act cute and go take weed gummies. Tabby is sitting out alone as...
That's your edit for sure. They're so cutesy.
Yeah, exactly. Tabby is sitting out back alone. As Chip arrives, he's dressed as Donnie Darko. He offers her a bottle, to which she asks if it was open beforehand, and he's like, no, that'd be gross. He says he talked to Mr. Smithy, who gave them an extension for them to reshoot the scene. Chip asks if she wants to get out of there and watch a movie, but she's like, I just want to stick around for Imogen. And he's like, okay, I'll just see you later. Farron comes up to Kelly and confronts her that she saw her with Greg. Kelly tries to explain, but Farron goes on. That's like, you gaslit me in the school, and I feel so bad, feel so stupid for having felt bad for you. And Kelly's like, girl, you're wrong. And Farron's like, girl, you know who used to say that like that? Your sister, Karen. And then Kelly's like, okay, well, like, Greg is just a friend. Like, it was just a moment. We, like, both miss her. And Farron admits that she thinks she's Karen and that actually you sent Kelly up into the rafters to do your dirty work. Kelly's like, is it really so hard to believe that I can be great dancer and be popular and have the hot boyfriend? Karen confides in her that her life may be in danger, and Kelly didn't fall but was pushed, and that person could be now after her. Kelly warns her to never talk to her again. Ash and Mouse are high upstairs, which leads to their first kiss. She tells him to stay there while she goes to get snacks. Mouse heads to the snack table, but then Tyler notices her and then starts like, oh, are you alone? And tries to get her to drink a drink. And then Farron comes up and tells him Mouse said no. Greg comes up to Farron and is just like, why don't you just give Tyler a chance? Tyler encourages Mouse to continue to take a sip, but then Taggy comes in and pushes him away, and all the girls rally around them. Tabby rants about how she's sick of being intimidated dudes like Tyler, and they get into this big argument. She yells at Greg and Tyler, who yell back, until she finally gets a breaking point and punches Tyler in the nose. Tyler then has to go find a bathroom. He goes to the upstairs one and tries to like clean up his face. He starts peeing as A comes in, and then A beats him and chokes him to death. Knowing the girls congratulate Tabby for taking a stand against Tyler. Noah also notices that there was no A that night. No A activity. Isn't that nice? Farron sarcastically says he probably went trick-or-treating. The girls go inside to break up the party as A comes up from the cellar stairs outside with Tyler's wrapped body, putting it in the back of their van. Oh, nice.
I like that he cleaned up. Like, I literally made a
know.
note of that. I was like, how polite.
That's so polite. It's not your home. You take your mess with you. The next day, Imogen receives another phone call from the same person who called that night, who knew both Davy and Angela, as well as the Angela's family. They agree to meet, and she ends the phone call, and her friends look on expectantly. Mouse arrives home, finding a worried Shirley, who scolds her for staying out all night. Mouse declares she needed one
Worried
night.
Shirley sounds like
You're such a worried Shirley.
Exactly.
Mouse declares she needed one night and apologizes. She understands what happened was scary, but it happened to her in the past. But it happened to her, and she's still being punished for it years later. She affirms he's gone and never coming back. Mouse prints out a photo of her and Steve and adds it to an already large collection in a box of her and her mom's, as well as some unidentifiable men in a shoebox.
I think they're all of Steve.
Are they all? They were all different.
I thought they were all Steve.
I think they look different because I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
We'd have to rewatch.
That's fine. Either way.
You know, we're split here. So, who's right? Anyway, Farron receives a phone call from Madame Giry, who informs her she's no longer playing the Black Swan because she accosted Kelly. At the Beasley house, Kelly excitedly tells her mom she's now the lead in the play, and her mom's like, "That's wonderful, Karen." And then Kelly looks sad. Imogen joins Tabby in her room, asking what the thing between her and Tyler last night was really about. Tabby begins to confess that in the summer, there was a party in the woods and something happened to her. Imogen confides in her that something happened to her as well.
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah. Why were the Y2K big liars bullying Angela? And we already talked about the shit. I'd written down, like, what a weird fucking thing to do.
It's so weird. But, yeah, they're just fucking mean. I think she was just like a project of theirs. Like, it's like that she's our friend, but they treat her like shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the one friend out that they just bully incessantly.
Mm-hmm. Kids are mean.
Yeah, and then they just bury it all after, her death.
Tabby's mad at Chip, but she's not really mad at Chip. She's mad at herself.
Yeah, exactly.
And the situation.
Through very, complicated reasons, but like, you can understand why she would be feeling weird about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get some weird, because we now know that she was like harmed, like
assaulted.
Yeah, the filming in the boys' locker room seems to be taking on a new meaning potentially.
Mm-hmm. I said this while we were watching it.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that it's like an investigation almost.
Yeah, that she's trying to figure out, like, if she can only remember bits and pieces of that night. She's either wanting to hear, one, like, what they're saying, like, is anyone talking about it? But two, like, if she can identify the specific parts of the body she saw. Like, that's the only theory I can come up with of, like, why she's video recording.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know.
It's certainly interesting. And then you wonder also if the psycho scene is like a way of her, like,
oh yeah, she's
trying
reclaiming
to
her power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then, even though she's using the filmic language of that the knife penetrates them, which which it is, and that's like, I think that a good use of her being like film brained.
Yeah, no, I think that was a really good, like, it makes her a lot less annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like, oh, this actually makes sense in this. There's a way, like, I think about this too, even like writing or like when you develop characters, like there's a way for them to have like a personality trait or a thing, and not saying I'm like exceptional at it. I don't really know what I'm doing. But good. Like, there's a way to have them have this skill or trait or interest and make it a huge part of the language you talk about them without making it the sole way they communicate.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like,
yeah, definitely. And I think that is a good example of like when she's talking through the scene and then they all look at her like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Because they didn't all take film class.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also like you don't often say like the knife penetrates the person. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
You say it penetrates the skin, maybe, but like you'd really say he was stabbed.
Exactly, right. And she's speaking in film metaphors. But yeah.
Let's talk about the missing diary pages.
Mm-hmm.
Were they the things they found in the fireplace? Are we ever going to find them?
I'm wondering if we've got a Laura Palmer's diary situation on our hands, people. We got a second diary somewhere, and it's hidden. Oh God, what's his name? The like shut in on Twin Peaks.
I don't remember.
Can't remember either. This very soft spoken man. I'm wondering if they're like hidden somewhere. Because who would burn the pages? And
there's some pages that were ripped out.
Right. So I guess that does beg the question: what was actually burnt in the fireplace?
And why were those pages ripped out, and by who?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, would it have been Davy? Doesn't seem like it.
Will any of our girlies die?
No, I don't think any of the girlies are. Well, not any of our 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they're all safe.
Let's talk
much
about...
like sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Much like PLO, the original.
Yeah. Okay. Mouse has a creepy man named Steve.
Yeah.
He lost his daughter. We know that for a fact, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. We know that from what Mouse showed us with the printout and stuff like that. Did Steve kill Rachel? Why is Steve hanging out with Mouse? How long have Steve and Mouse been hanging out? What is this?
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't quite make heads or tails on Mouse's end of what's going on. Especially so if it's in the context, either way, that this could go either way, depending on what we think the pictures are in the box. Like, if they are of multiple people, then my read on it is that she's like been working with other people almost on this, of like being their daughter for a day, which is interesting. Like,
do you think she's
strange.
Reverting to the age that she was traumatized at whatever happened?
Maybe like the request to go trick-or-treating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think whatever yeah, I think you're right. And that maybe even if she was able to go trick-or-treating, it's like going back to that age again. Yeah, I can't quite make out what's going on with Mouse and everything yet. It's definitely strange, and you kind of have some sympathy, I guess. I mean, you do have sympathy for Steve and whatever the hell is like going on there, since his daughter went missing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he feels guilty over like replacing her. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's heavy and really weird. I haven't really encountered like anything like this.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yes, extremely.
Why would Farron go to Madame Giry in the first place? And why would Madame Giry be saying that Kelly self-harmed?
That's such a horrible okay, yes. Crazy on both accounts. Well, ridiculous on both accounts. Why would you do that, Farron? Why would you even think that Madame Giry would have anything like I'd have your back at anything? Regardless, she talks shit on you all the time. And then why would you ever tell another student about that?
Mm-hmm.
Madame Giry is all about the drama.
She is. Also, so then when Farron sees the cut on Kelly's hand, she assumes it's self-harm. It's hard to say, was that self-harm? Like, she squeezed the glass. I mean, she harmed herself. That was self-harm. We don't know we kind of don't know what her motive was.
Yeah.
I guess. But is that another piece of evidence that this is definitely Kelly and not Karen?
Yeah, potentially. I could see that.
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, is this a good nugget that this is who we think we have?
Yeah. Point in the Kelly column for sure.
But the mother mixes them up.
People keep doing that. So then that's the other thing. It's just like, it would ruin what I laid out earlier if that's the case. I don't know if I'd want them flip-flopping like that, but we'll see.
We'll see. Finally, someone punched Tyler in the face. We haven't known him long.
Let's go.
But we wanted to punch him since day one.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely horrible. As soon as we knew that off screen, he was the one filming Karen.
So Tyler being murdered is actually one of, to me, the better scenes in this episode, because he gets murdered to like a version of the Monster Mash.
Mhm.
And that to me is like what I wanted coming into this show. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
It's goofy. It's dark. It's dark humor, but God, it's macabre. That's what I'm trying
it's
to look
macabre.
for. Yeah.
There you go. It's so good. And also, like, I love, once again, like I said, like that A cleans up because Imogen's pregnant. She doesn't need this mess. This bathroom is obviously fucking haunted because there's been 2 deaths in it so far.
Yeah, nobody should be using that bathroom ever again.
No one should.
But yeah, it's also interesting that A went after Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bully. Or you know what I mean?
But he is a bully.
Not one of the 6, we would assume.
But we don't know, like we said before, we don't know who his ranking is. And we do know that Tyler basically tried to assault Karen. We assume he's potentially what happened to Imogen.
Uh-huh.
And we assume he's potentially what happened to Tabby.
Yep. And it seems like he was trying to
drug Mouse.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's what I was gonna ask you.
The way he kept insisting it's really calling attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The as much as we've gotten some really nice boys so far in this, like the boys in this show are fucking threatening.
They're foul. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, and I do think they do a really good job of that because I think that a lot of men don't understand how scary it is to be a woman and to be a teenage girl or even to be a woman, like just to be out in the world when you know that physically you're less strong most of the time. That's not all, dude. You know, I could bench press Brenton, obviously, you know.
That's right.
But you're physically less strong. You're in a more vulnerable position. Society gives you less. You know, like there's just so many things that it's like it doesn't feel safe. And like we talk about this in my family. We were joking. My stepdad got stuck in an elevator recently. My father got stuck in an elevator recently, and he called the emergency button. And they were like, "Oh, did you try the door open button?" And he's like, "I didn't know there were door open, door close buttons on an elevator." And my mom and I are both like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "If I get in an elevator alone, which rarely happens because I don't really like elevators, but if I get in an elevator alone, I'm pressing that door close button unless there's other women in that elevator with me because I don't want to be stuck in an elevator with some man. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's scary. And,
Yeah.
you know, it makes you feel a little strange and paranoid, but...
yeah, that's
you think about these things even if you don't act on them. You think about it. It's like, okay, like when I get in the car, I immediately lock the doors.
Right.
Most men don't think to do that. Like there's just lots of little things that it's like, oh. And so I think the show does a really good job of showing how scary it is to be a woman, which I think is what a lot of horror does. But men watch that and think it's like for fear versus like, no, this is reality.
right. Yeah, kind of exactly. You know, it depends. Obviously, there's some
Yes.
genre stuff in there where you're like, oh yeah, they're just offering people up here.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think yes, I think this show is doing a good job of that. That's all.
Were you going to mansplain my own sentence to me?
I was about to like ramble on of like especially just regurgitating the same thing, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Exactly. I know. Watch out. No, but there was something else I think I had in there.
Probably.
It was like going to be a separate thought related to that.
Is it about Tyler? Is it about the girls?
Oh, and then Wes. There you go. As
yes.
another version of this, right?
I had a question about Wes too, and I absolutely just accidentally skipped it.
Oh.
He does one of my favorite things that men do. And I'm saying this with all the sarcasm in my heart. He's gaslighting because he's going, "Oh my God, I didn't know I was being creepy. I didn't realize I was being a predator. I care about you in a non-creepy way."
Yeah.
If you have to tell me that the way you care about me isn't creepy, guess what it is? You shouldn't have to say it.
Oh, it's so it's so funny because it's on the show. He's so pathetic.
Oh, he's so pathetic.
And I forgot to mention this last week, but the flash drive at the house reminded me of a tweet I shared with you the other day, where it's like, listen, if you hit your, I don't know, maybe I already said, I don't know if I did say this last week, let me know. Where it's like, if you crash your car into her, she has to give you her number.
No, I
It's
don't think
the
you
law.
said it. Yeah, it's exactly that. Like
Uh-huh. Which tongue in cheek.
just trash. Yeah, no, that's just a joke, but yeah.
Alright.
Are you ready to take us to our club?
That's right. Let us, well, please, everybody, step into the classroom and join us for.
Did anyone bring snacks? You know what I would bring for snacks for this? Loft House cookies. I love those grocery store cookies, and they are peanut allergy friendly, and they are the fucking best. And Brenton can't eat them because he's celiac, and I can't eat 10 of them, so I never get to get them.
And I didn't know I was celiac until a couple years ago, so I enjoyed the sweet, sweet nectar that was Loft House cookies.
And I think about them all the time.
Oh, they're so good.
I think they have other names too, but like that's what I think of them as because I think that's the one brand or whatever I saw.
Well, let's try and I'll try and rid my brain of
Loft
Loft House cookies.
cookies and like lemonade make me feel like I'm in like elementary school.
That's a heartburn speedball right there, but we love it.
All right.
That's how Brenton gets the zoomies. Detective Club. Oh boy.
Should you really be running this club at like what 30, 32 and you can't have sugar because it makes you get the zoomies?
Cool kids, it's all right. I understand what it's like being in high school.
Oh God, are you Wes? Are you hanging out in a high school parking lot?
I'm chaperoning the club.
Oh yeah, that's right. Even weirder.
Yep. I'm hired in some way school staff.
He's not even a detective.
Yep.
Okay.
Boy. So we get confirmation that A is being some sort of avenging angel, using the girls to get some sort of revenge on the moms, but also is taking actions into their own hands, potentially, to take out the like other bullies or people that seem to have either wronged the girls or something.
Well, do you think they're taking out like the next generation of bullies
Yeah. Oh.
to prevent like an Angela situation?
Maybe. Ah.
But then somehow the girls don't quite make that list because they only bullied a bully?
Yes.
Okay.
And on behalf of them.
Oh,
Like, 'cause
that's true. A did drive them there.
Exactly. A's like, hey, I brought you here.
Is A for Angela?
It could be, couldn't it? And then, see, there you go. There's the nice inversion, too, because they thought A for Allison, the tormentor, where in this, A is potentially for Angela, the victim.
Or is it for Allison?
Oh my God, what if she turns up and it's just like, what if it's for Alex? Hello, Spencer. What if they had, oh my God, Troy and guest star, but as Alex?
Unreal.
I would hope. A man can dream. I hope so.
Okay, wait. I have a perfectionist question that I just thought of. I'm so sorry, but why would what's her name be interning for the Hastings campaign if they're in Washington?
Because she was a state senator, right?
Or even if she was, senator, or even if she was a federal senator, wouldn't you pick, or you know what I mean, a senator? Like, wouldn't you pick a senator from the state you reside in or your parents reside in? It seems like her parents reside in Washington and represent Washington and live in D.C. So,
right.
I have some
Why a
questions.
Pennsylvania senator?
Yeah.
I guess because you could still intern at their office, but why? I guess unless they're friends.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe they're friends. Yeah. That's. I was just like, this doesn't make any sense.
No.
Okay. But sorry. Anyway, back to this show.
Yeah.
We're never gonna know, so it doesn't matter.
That we would have all, if they had just gotten a couple more episodes, this would have been all cleared up. How did they know it was the Hastings?
Never been cleared up.
Do you think Ren will make an appearance as a diamond on this show?
Who's to say he hasn't already?
That's true. That'd
Where
be
do you think?
great.
What happened to Ren?
He's in some pawn shop, just in New York.
Oh my god, if you buy jewelry, do you think like if you might look at diamonds, I'm
Oh,
like, is that
wait.
Ren?
Do you think Mona took it?
Oh,
Because it was with Alex,
maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Anyways, back to the mystery here at hand. As you can see, I've got so many ideas. I'm just bouncing off the wall to tell you about them. I still don't have a clear idea of who would be behind the A thing because it's going to be some sort of family relation because this is Pretty Little Liars. I just assume that's what it's going to be. And it's going to be some sort of family relation to Angela. And we would assume, based on who they're targeting, that this is an older person, around like the parents' age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they also seem to be a bit bigger as well, so they're probably an adult. But who, like Angela's brother or sister or good friend? I just don't know yet. But I guess A could also be someone, and then they're working with who they've been calling A as like Leatherface walking around, who's killing people. So then A could also potentially be a younger person and potentially be one of the boys, maybe. That's where I started to be. I'm like, what's up with Ash, Chip? Like, should we be suspecting them?
But then they show all of them in different makeout scenes when we know A is busy doing things, so we know that they're not.
Except for Chip is outside. We don't ever see Chip in a scene with Leatherface. But I think Leatherface is already in the party at that time, but we already know that we can't really like rely on, and Chip also leaves the party early, but is also that the show just trying to get us to follow it as a red herring, and maybe I'm just following in the red herring. You know what I mean? So I guess Chip would be higher on my list, probably the highest. But the other thing is like this also doesn't have this like extensive cast of characters, so I don't have like other people to really blame it on. Like I don't think it's any of the jocks, and I don't, unless Kelly is doing something on like to try and get revenge on like her sister or something. I don't think Kelly would kill her own sister. I just don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess could be related in that way. But I just don't see that either. So then it makes me also wonder about Ash. Is Ash potentially on that list too? But I don't really know. I'm very unclear, in which I'm very used to being unclear in previous series. But with those, we had a lot of runway.
Mm-hmm. Wes, what about Wes?
We're about halfway through. I just think Wes is pathetic. But I guess it could be Wes because Wes is like older, right? Wes is in his 30s. He's not. There's a difference between him and the moms. Probably like even if they were younger, there's probably still a 10-year gap there, right? Mm-hmm. But if when they were younger, if they had kids, right, in their 20s. But it's not out of the realm of possibility.
You're missing one very important suspect. Who else fits this profile? You. You're an adult man.
Oh, God. I'm looking right in the mirror. This is just like that Time magazine.
I swear to God, I thought that was how Pretty Little Liars was in because I was like, this show doesn't make any fucking sense. And then I was like, it's going to be like Us.
Have we explained that reference?
I don't know.
Time magazine one year, they always do People of the Year. The Taylor Swift recently made headlines about this. That one year they just did a reflective thing on the cover and said it was you.
I love that.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't have a lot of firm grasp. But if we are going to force rank, we'll put Chip at the top for now, even though I hope it's not Chip, because I hope Chip's just a good fella.
Okay. Yeah, I like Chip.
But there's just a lot of things pointing that way right now, so I go, is that it? But then I also go, but they're pointing too many things towards him.
Uh-huh. That's how I felt about the Karen Kelly switch. I was like, well, they're pointing too many things towards it, so it can't be that.
Right. And I fell hook, line, and sinker until this episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did too. As I was saying, until now, I was like, oh, there's too many things. Like when the mom also did and the mom also did it. I was like, why is everybody
confusing? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And is it just that it's rubbing salt in the wound of like Kelly of like, cool, nobody sees me?
Mm-hmm.
which
might
is
as well
its
just
own
be
sort
Karen. Yeah.
of. Yeah, which I like. I do hope that is actually how it is because I think it is clever.
Well,
Anyways, we'll see what happens as we approach the back half of the series or season. But for now, we'll see you all next meeting.
there we go.
Goodbye.
Good job. Thank you for taking us on this journey.
About a thin layer of theories and a whole lot of other conjecture.
Well, yeah.
Of, talking about PLL past.
Ghosts of PLL past. They haunt us forever.
That's right.
Well, I like this better now. I feel better. I was getting real miserable.
Yeah.
Last week I was like, this is dire. I don't know about this. But I feel better.
Rolling through.
So now we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, I think this is starting to pick up, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But, and for our schedule, we will be missing we'll be missing the next couple weeks. So it's going to be a bit of a wait before we get back for the next 2 episodes. Apologies, but yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, otherwise, you can still find us on all your podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find us on YouTube at dead_ends. You can send us mail for questions at deadendspcast@gmail.com.
Email.
Yeah, mail.
Yeah, I was like, please don't mail things to us.
P.O. Box. Oh God, what? I can't even make the joke. Oh well. Moving on. You can also comment on YouTube. We love talking to people. Comments on YouTube. You can also apparently comment on other podcast platforms. We don't see those. But you can give us 5 stars on those platforms. It helps us out. Help us get noticed.
People notice us.
Exactly.
We walk around feeling like we're Allison. We're like, oh, people notice us.
That's why I make mean comments about Halloween costumes.
Actually, are we like Mona and Hannah?
Oh, that's what we are. Yeah, we're just going around.
Which one am I?
Ooh, you're probably Mona.
Probably. He loves a bitchy woman.
You mean a strong woman?
I mean, except for the whole torturing people thing.
Yeah, there's none of that.
No.
Well, except for the people that are in the glass box downstairs.
We don't talk about my tea party. All right. Well,
that's not torture. That's just fun. I think that's it, right?
I think so too. It took a turn.
You heard nothing.
Well,
we're still here. And we're gonna find out everything. Have a good next couple weeks. We'll see you.
Okay, love you. Bye.